Jurgen Klopp. We have to talk about Jurgen Klopp. Of course, we all agree that Jurgen Klopp is an elite level manager, but he has been making some mistakes. Joining me to help me explore this is devoted Liverpool fan and a dear friend of mine, the one and only Ade Oladipo. Ade, this isn't going to be fun for you.
No.
Before we get into it, though, I need to say thank you so much for joining me to explore this. And please subscribe to Ade's YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. Make sure that you head over there. There is some fantastic content. Now, talking Klopp, I think what's very important to acknowledge is Jurgen Klopp, in my opinion, is one of the best managers that the Premier League has ever had. You know, the record in Europe, getting to finals the way that he has done, and going all of the way with Manchester City certainly deserves acknowledgement. I know they've only won one league title. They should possibly won more. But pushing this Manchester City team all the way, the fact that we've even had a title race over recent years is all thanks to the brilliance of Jurgen Klopp. But it's not going well.
Yeah.
The recruitment hasn't been good enough. He recently told Liverpool fans to book their hotels in Istanbul and then actually oversaw Liverpool's record ever defeat in Europe.
Yeah.
At what point in fact, maybe me saying at what point is incorrect phrasing, because maybe there isn't a point. Maybe you will protect Klopp from this completely, insulate him and protect everyone other than him because you believe that he is the saviour.
Yeah.
Is that true? Or is there a point where you're going to say, Jurgen?
No, there's certainly a point.
Right.
There has to be a point. Look, I think it will go, in my eyes anyway, it will be players first, then Klopp, and then there's question marks. But there has to be a point. I mean, you can't get away with getting smashed at home by Real Madrid like that. You can't. And this is a Real Madrid team that have started to have a bit of a wobble in La Liga as well in the lead up to that game. You can't get away with making obvious mistakes. And we're talking obvious ones as well, defensively, obvious ones.
2-0 up.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah, 2-0 up. But I'm talking overall in the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I mean, Trent and his defensive issues, not bringing in competition for Trent, I think, has been a big problem. They brought in young Calvin Ramsey, who's been injured. We haven't seen him. I don't know what's going on with him. There's just been mistakes everywhere, unfortunately. Cater's a big one for me. Like, we can't applaud Klopp and Michael Edwards for the recruitment and not then dig Klopp when it goes wrong. It can't go both ways. I mean, it can't go one way, so it has to go both ways. Cater's a mistake, and acknowledge that mistake and get rid of him. It hasn't worked. Use that money for somewhere else. Ox has been at the club for 5 years and probably hasn't played 80 games. Mistake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Young players coming in, mistakes.
What's happened with the team, though? Because 7 players that started that humiliation at Anfield, 7 of the 11 that started that night, started the Champions League final 9 months ago. That Champions League final, Liverpool were good enough to win. Thibaut Courtois had the game of his life. Favourites to win, played well enough to win, had the chances to win. It was a moment from Vinicius and the fact that Thibaut Courtois had the game of his life. 7 of the 11 played that game and it was really close. Whereas those players have all dipped so much that Liverpool concede 5 at Anfield. Something that in a European competition is just unknown, isn't it? It's totally unheard of.
Mate, it's baffling. Honestly, it's baffling. I'd like to say, it's Fabinho or Henderson in that midfield. Everyone seems to point to the midfield and, they're probably right? That's probably where it stems from. But there are issues all over the place. The front three isn't working. And we had a little go recently in beating Everton and Newcastle. And everyone's like, okay, maybe this is it now. Maybe it is going to work. It doesn't work. It's not glued together like it was with Mane, Firmino, or when Diaz came in. It felt like everyone knew exactly what they were doing. So that's not worked. Salah's fallen off a cliff in the last 8 months. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on with Mo Salah, by the way. Your superstar player, where if it's going wrong, give it to him, he could do something. You got that one player. You had it with Hazard for years, where even though Chelsea were rubbish, give it to Hazard.
Because he gets you out of trouble.
Salah's not that guy anymore. He had a couple of chances against Real Madrid where I'm like, go on, old Salah buries them. Van Dijk seems like, for me, he's still playing within himself because of the injury. Gomez not good enough next to Van Dijk. So there's so many, and all of them seem to have happened at exactly the same time. Honestly,
which makes you think it's managerial. Like, it's not a coincidence. It's like one player dipping in form. The conversation is the player. 7 players dipping in form simultaneously. It's something broader.
And by the way, we're talking several big players.
Yeah, it's an epidemic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not fringe players. You know, I mean, if Curtis Jones falls off a cliff, we're not going to moan.
Yeah.
When you're talking about your superstar players, and then your superstar players that always get injured. So there's an injury problem for some reason. Liverpool players always get injured now. Before they were machines. Now it's just injuries.
But maybe you've answered the question in the question. They've been machines, and ultimately when the machine performs at the top level that they have done, because let's face it, 2017 to 2022, Liverpool's best ever team.
Yeah,
2017
at
to
least
2022
in this Premier League era. Yeah,
100% Premier League era.
Yeah,
100%. But I'm wondering now. Like, obviously, what Emily Hughes was doing in
and
Rome,
Souness
and Hansen, of course.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I wonder if the 2017 to 2022 era is the best ever. I know it's not the best trophy accumulation, but on paper at least.
You look at it. There's no weaknesses in that side.
It's just Man City we're about.
Yeah, it's just Man City we're about. No weaknesses.
But is he the man to get you back to that, Klopp? Can he rebuild? Can he do it all again?
Takes a lot.
Takes a lot of money.
Takes a lot. Takes a lot of money. Takes a lot of energy. Takes a lot because Klopp would have been looking at that team. He's not stupid. Even though we got excited about the Everton and Newcastle results, he's watching it. They're watching the tape. They're looking at the mistakes. But he's probably thinking, we need 2. That's what he's probably thinking. He's probably thinking, you know what, just give me 2 big ones. In the summer, give me 150, 160 million and we're okay. Now he's looking at thinking, wow, I might need 4 or 5. And that's then a big rebuild.
Signed a lot of young players. Is the rebuild actually happening now? Like, are we, you know how we're saying they need a rebuild? I'm wondering if we are mid-rebuild. I wonder if it's kind of started.
It has started.
Because when you think about, say you look at the last 6 windows, so 3 years, look at the last 6 windows of recruitment, it's all been fairly young.
Yeah.
You know, aside from Thiago Alcantara, who I think was 29 when he signed.
Yeah.
Aside from him, it was all a crop of youthful players. The question about them is, are they good enough? Is the recruitment spot on? Is Darwin Núñez the player that you need? Is Luis Diaz the player that you need? Maybe not necessarily today, but are they going to blossom into some of the best footballers in the world?
I think they will. And people might laugh at that, but you watch enough football and you watch Darwin Núñez and he misses them, but he gets in there. I think Darwin Núñez will come good. I think Luis Diaz has proven that he will come good. And once he's fit, he's fine. Jota coming back as well. But what Liverpool don't have, and what they had for that period you're talking about where we were the best team in the world, was that fantastic spine. It was Alisson, it was Van Dijk, it was Jordan Henderson, it was Firmino, in terms of just strength down that middle. And then there were the flair players on either side of that. But that spine there, and now you look at it, Van Dijk's now unfortunately picking up the injuries. Firmino, as much as I love him, look, there's no point, and this goes to Thiago Alcantara, Firmino and others, there's no point having players that are on their day 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, if those players only play 1 in 7. Give me a 7 or 6 out of 10 that plays every single week over a flair player that can't commit to 3 games in a space of 10 days. And that's what Liverpool were doing last season.
Yeah, you know what you were saying about the injuries? I didn't realise it was quite so bad.
Oh, it's horrific.
It really is, isn't
horrific,
it? You know, Konate played 10 games.
There you go.
Like, that's just not acceptable, is it? And out of all these young players that have come in, like, let's use Carvalho.
Yeah.
Is he going to be...
No.
Simicas. Is he going to be...
Cover for Andy Robertson, isn't he? But no.
Calvin Ramsey?
I haven't seen him. Don't know what... I honestly, he was the young Scottish player of the year last season. I thought, okay, at least finally now, rather than James Milner having to go right back cover, finally we've got a right back. And don't know... I don't know.
See this... Hearing you say that, and I do agree with you, really, the recruitment at Liverpool, I think, isn't good enough. And by when I say recruitment, I'm using the wrong word, really, for the point I'm trying to demonstrate here. I mean the revolving door. I mean the transfer policy. You know when you sold Sadio Mane? I think I'm in the minority here, but I thought that was a terrible business. Firstly, don't let him go. Secondly, at the time, you could have easily made a case, and I think I did, best footballer in the world at that moment. You know, I don't mean he's a better footballer overall than Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
I just mean today he's the best footballer in the world.
Yeah.
In the way that I could argue, and has recently, Marcus Rashford, today, best footballer in the world.
Okay, I know you do.
They let Sadio Mane leave when he was integral to everything that Liverpool
Is there a they let him leave or he wanted to go?
He left.
He left. Okay.
Maybe he wanted to go.
Yeah.
But they got 35 million.
Yeah.
To the best footballer in the world. And weirdly, when I say that's terrible business, because I rated him so highly. Everyone's like, the contract issue and the fact that he was over 30. It's like, Man United spent about 70 million quid on Casemiro, who's old. So Real Madrid have managed to recoup big money for a 30-year-old player. And yet Liverpool, I think since the Coutinho's the one everyone talks about, right?
But since
got loads of money for Coutinho, loads of money. They haven't sold a player for more than 30 million quid.
Yeah, Liverpool. Again, we celebrate the incomings, and that's now started to look really bad. But we never ever know how to get rid of a player. It's almost like Klopp. And Roy Keane said this actually when he was speaking to Carragher, and I think they were doing their combined Liverpool Man United 11. And Roy Keane was like, I'm going to pick all those players because they're my soldiers, they're my lieutenants. Like, they'll always be with me. And I think Klopp's got a bit about that as well, where he almost won't let a player go when they should go. Like, you know, there's this talk about, again, I keep mentioning him because I love him, but Firmino, I love him. Yeah. He shouldn't be at the club anymore. Yeah. Shouldn't be. I know people say like, yeah, but he's that, he's so important. Doesn't play. Like, what? His contract's up now at the end of the season. So, end of this season or either end of next season, we could have got 25, 30 million for him. Yeah. He's going to walk away for nothing.
But the difference is, Real Madrid.
You know how good Sir Alex Ferguson was when getting rid of players?
Oh, he was amazing.
And he'll get rid of players and everyone will be like, what's he doing? Like when he got rid of Jaap Stam.
Mark Hughes.
Jaap Stam, Mark Hughes.
No, constant. Like
we could go Kanchelskis.
Yeah, he got rid of
Beckham.
Yeah.
And everyone's almost Paul Ince. Yeah. Everyone's scratching. What's he doing there?
It's going to cost them in the league. And that's what you always say, and then they win the league.
All of a sudden, he's found another one.
Mark Hughes go to Chelsea. It's going to cost them the league. Wins the league.
See?
And the cup.
So maybe that's the one thing that, as much as I love Jurgen Klopp, maybe that's the one skill that isn't his biggest skill in terms of letting a player go when they need to go. Yeah. And bringing someone else in.
Because the other thing is, you can have loyalty to those players that have served you so well. Yeah. If you look at what Real Madrid did to Liverpool, like Karim Benzema, I'm not clever enough to do this man justice.
How good is he, by the way?
Bruv.
I told you. I know you. So this is off subject, but you've been talking Kane, and I get it. How good is Benzema? Like? No, that's Benzema that's not been fit, by the way. He just came back. See his goal. Turn the TV off.
Went round the keeper. Yeah. And then not only did he go around the keeper, you're at Anfield, right? Intense. Yeah. Like the whole point of Liverpool, if you were to use one word to describe European nights at Anfield, intensity.
Intense.
And you've gone around the keeper. Yeah. Surely everybody in this situation goes,
smack it.
Andy Robertson is about to kill me. Yeah. Andy Robertson is about to slide. Like, I've got to take this shot off quick. The Real Madrid fans, you're in front of them. They're all making, look, they go, ah! Calm. No. Geezer's on a beach sipping a coconut water. You know when you drink the coconut water out of the coconut? That's how calm he was. Mate, he's got the sunglasses on and the coconut.
Levels.
Just left foot.
Levels.
And then he hit it in a way that was like, the keeper don't save it anyway. There's no keeper there. No. But he's hit it in the top corner of his left foot.
Levels.
So what are you doing? But then, so he's 35.
Yeah.
Luka Modric, 37. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they are managing to preserve their relationship with the older statesman and probably going to win them another European Cup. Yeah. Cheek of that club.
Mate, there were some players on that pitch, they were saying they've won 5 Champions Leagues. It's like, what?
What are you talking about?
5. Yeah, like, we won 5 Champions Leagues.
Is that what it is?
Googled it, yeah. Modric has won 5.
Yeah, he was at Tottenham for ages.
Yeah. Imagine 5. So you know when people talk about Liverpool, like Liverpool could have beaten anyone that night, by the way. But you don't talk about other Liverpool in Europe are amazing, and well, it's Real Madrid that are knocking at the door. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's just got it wrong, Klopp, and look, he has to be held accountable for some stuff. Like there's this weird thing with Liverpool fans, where it's like, no, he can't do no wrong. Well, he can do wrong. He can do wrong. You know,
can he get this back? Are you writing this tie off? Like if this tie was the other way around, if you
it's
were
weird. You're talking.
Anfield,
I'm looking at him behind you.
Yeah,
as you're talking.
If any club, I know this is going to sound like...
So what are you saying? No, if that was going to Anfield...
If it was coming back to Anfield...
Then I'll get the first one, as you always say, right? And then Madrid, dude, if they don't put another 5 past us, I'll take it.
Can I just give you a nugget of hope?
You can't.
I can.
You can't.
Chelsea. Do you remember what Chelsea did? When? Chelsea lost 3-1 at Stamford Bridge and ended up 3-0 up. Okay, we went out. But it's Modric again. We were outside of the boot pass. Ridiculous, right? But... we were 3-0 up with a goal disallowed.
We're rubbish. We're rubbish. Do you know what I mean? They played with us.
So were we, though.
Could have been 6 or 7. They played with us.
Do you think?
We're rubbish.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like Carlo Ancelotti spoke very kindly about Liverpool.
Yeah, because he's
fantastic.
Because he's taken the P.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, he's beaten Klopp how many times? Beaten him with Napoli. Beat him at Everton. Beat him with his Everton team. Do you know what I mean? He's beat him at Real Madrid. He's just almost like, what now? I don't know.
So what is the answer then for Liverpool here? Do you is the answer?
It's a big clear out. It's a big clear out
of
Of players, yes. Klopp's done enough to deserve the chance to turn this around. It's a big clear out of players, and it's got to be a few honest questions as well. Like you mentioned Carvalho there. Is he good enough? No. I mean, people might say he is. It depends what your ambition for Liverpool is. In the last 4 or 5 seasons, we've been the best club in the world or been in the conversation. Is he good enough to be in that conversation, to be playing for a team that wants to be the best club in the world? Maybe not. You can have that conversation. Curtis Jones, you can have it. Ox, no. Naby Keita, no. Trent, conversation because he's so good that way, but not good that way. And you can have both. We've seen it. You can be both. Like, hate to do it, but look, I don't think Reece James is good at delivering the ball as Trent. But you can have a defender that can do both. Reece James can go that way and that way. You've got to look at everything. It's got to be looked at. Jordan Henderson getting a 4-year deal last season when his legs were clearly starting to go a bit. Who's making these decisions? So many things need to be looked at. Yeah. And you're right about the Mane one, because even if Mane knocked on Klopp's door, I don't know, people like to speculate what he was on, but even if he said, I want 300 grand a week, the package that has cost you to get Darwin Núñez, there's your 300 grand. Give him 4, give him 5.
But then Darwin Núñez should be your centre forward for the next half a decade at least.
Should be. Yeah. Mane was proven 20 goals a season guaranteed. Not could be, not might be, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Big game player.
There's a lack
big
of that,
games.
Because there's all question marks about
Everyone
Núñez,
has question marks about, could Gakpo do this?
Yeah.
When Diaz comes back from his long-term injury now, can he do it?
Yeah. So, it's weird, isn't it? Because Liverpool, they used to like love an open game. Like, you know, when it was,
like,
let's have a fight.
Let's have a fight.
They would
almost
revel in that.
A bit Newcastle under Kevin Keegan. Like, you score 4, we'll score 7.
Yeah, now when they do that, they just exploit it.
Mate, how can you be 2-0 up at home?
Yeah.
And lose?
But
and before you go, I know you're trying to rap me. Even against Newcastle, when they were 10 men against R11, they had about 8 chances.
Yeah.
They had about 8 chances, Newcastle.
I can't work it out with Liverpool. I do find it like fascinating, but
We're still going to make top 4 though.
I think you will make top 4, but that's because I'm conditioned by Klopp. I think it's going to sound ridiculous, but you go 1-0 up in the Bernabeu, which you're perfectly capable of doing. We did it last year, Addy, and we were worse than you.
What are you saying? I don't understand what you're saying. You think that we can...
don't think the tie's over? I don't think the tie's... I think it's likely to be over, but remember it's Liverpool, remember it's Klopp, and remember... Like, this is Klopp embarking on trying to get to his 4th final. He ain't been there that long.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
Let's see. Addy, as always, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I find this one and all the videos we do, I do find this one like the most fascinating.
Liverpool.
So yeah, it's because it's an enigma at the moment.
Marks, like, it's weird. You can't quite work out. What I will say though, we've only got 1 game a week now until the end of the season.
Yeah.
If you can't make top 4 when you only got 1 game a week to the end of the season,
and your competition, you're not competing with like a Chelsea or you've got to get ahead of Brighton and Newcastle,
Fulham and Newcastle.
Should be all right. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Really do appreciate it. As always, would love for you to click that subscribe button, and if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. We'll see you all in a bit.